Stop believing that you need to become more to finally be enough. That lie is the quiet poison slowly rotting your self-worth. The world has trained women to believe that value is something you earn through beauty, through success, through how easy you are to love. But that belief is not empowerment. It's a carefully designed trap. A trap that keeps you running, adjusting, shrinking, performing, just to stay acceptable. And here's the truth most people won't say out loud. You're not exhausted because life is too hard. You're exhausted because you've been at war with yourself for years. Every time you silence your needs, every time you reshape your personality, every time you choose to be liked over being real, you reinforce one brutal message deep inside your mind. Who I am right now is not enough. And if you keep living like this for another year, you won't just lose time. You will lose the last piece of your identity that still feels real. This is not a video to comfort you. This is a confrontation. Because the way out doesn't start with becoming more. It starts with destroying the lie that you were ever not enough. I remember the night it hit me, not like a dramatic breakdown, but like a quiet collapse that had been building for years. I was standing in front of the mirror, just like every other night, removing the layers, the makeup, the smile, the version of me that knew exactly how to be agreeable, desirable, easy. And as my real face started to appear, something felt off. Not because I didn't like what I saw, but because I didn't recognize her anymore. It was subtle at first, a hesitation in my own gaze, a strange distance between who I was and who I had been pretending to be all day. And then the thought came, sharp and unforgiving. When did I start believing that I had to earn the right to exist like this? That question didn't feel philosophical. It felt like exposure, like someone had just ripped off a layer of protection I didn't even know I was wearing. Because the truth is, I had built my entire life around becoming enough. Enough to be chosen, enough to be admired, enough to not be abandoned. I adjusted everything. My voice became softer when needed. My opinions became smaller when they felt inconvenient. I learned how to read rooms, how to anticipate expectations, how to disappear just enough to keep peace, and show up just enough to stay relevant. From the outside, it looked like growth. But inside, it felt like erosion. Piece by piece, I was trading parts of myself for acceptance. And the worst part, it worked. People liked me, they stayed, they approved. But I couldn't shake the feeling that they were loving a version of me that wasn't entirely real. And that's when the exhaustion began. Not the kind you fix with sleep, but the kind that lives in your bones. The kind that comes from constantly performing, constantly adjusting, constantly negotiating your worth with the world. But the breaking point didn't come from rejection. It came from success. One day, I realized I had become everything I thought I needed to be, and I still felt empty. That was the moment everything cracked. Because if becoming better didn't make me feel whole, then maybe the problem was never about being better. And that's when I saw it clearly. The trap. The quiet, socially accepted, deeply internalized lie. That your value increases when you improve and decreases when you don't. That lie is seductive. It sounds productive. It even feels empowering at times. But underneath, it's a form of self-betrayal. Because it teaches you to treat your current self as a problem to be fixed, instead of a person to be understood. And that realization was brutal, because it meant I wasn't just a victim of expectations. I was an active participant in my own disconnection. But here's where everything started to shift. In Stoic philosophy, there's a concept that changed everything for me. The idea of control. What is truly yours, and what never was. And I had been living my entire life trying to control something that was never mine to begin with. How others perceive me. Their approval. Their attraction. Their validation. All of it existed outside of my control. Yet I had built my identity around chasing it. And that's where the pain was coming from. Not from rejection, but from attachment. Attachment to outcomes. Attachment to being liked. Attachment to a version of myself that was designed to be accepted. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Because if my value depends on something I can't control, then I will always feel unstable, always adjusting, always anxious, always one opinion away from collapse. But if my value comes from something internal, something I define, something I choose, something I build through self-mastery, then suddenly everything changes. That doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop growing from a place of lack. You stop saying, I'll be enough when, and you start saying, I am enough. And from that place, I choose to evolve. That shift is subtle, but it's everything. Because one is driven by fear. The other is driven by power. And for the first time, I wasn't trying to become someone else. I was trying to return to myself. Not the version shaped by expectations, but the version that existed before all the noise, before the comparisons, before the need to prove anything. The version that didn't ask, am I enough? Because she never learned to doubt it in the first place. And that's when I understood something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You don't find your worth by becoming more. You find it by removing everything that made you believe you were less. Now you need to make a decision. Not later. Not when you feel ready. But now. Because awareness without action is just another form of self-deception. If you don't want to spend another year questioning your worth, then this is your way out. First, stop negotiating your value with people who benefit from your self-doubt. You don't explain yourself to those who only understand a version of you that serves them. Second, set a boundary with every standard that makes you feel like you are constantly behind. Unfollow it. Walk away from it. Reject it. Not because you're weak, but because you finally see the trap. Third, build a relationship with yourself that doesn't depend on performance. 15 minutes a day. No distractions. No audience. Just you, facing yourself without the need to improve anything. Just to understand. This is where self-mastery begins. Not when you become perfect, but when you stop abandoning yourself in the process of trying to be. You were never lacking. You were conditioned to believe you were. And now you have a choice. You can go back to performing, or you can take control. Because you are not here to be approved. You are here to exist, fully, unapologetically, and without permission. If you choose that, then say it, not to me, but to yourself. I am enough, and I take my power back.